Welcome to the Z1 software. In this week's video, we are going to discuss the multi-language support available in the Z1 dashboard and the Z1 analyzer. Both those applications are able to display the user interface in multiple languages, and there are about 4 or 5 defaults that come with the software. And we also provide the ability for you to create your own language packs so that you can have the software display in any language that you choose. And we're going to go over how all of that works in this video. And yes, it is a bit ironic that we're doing a video in English to help non-English speakers use the software better. So here we have the standard interface to the Z1 dashboard software. And by default, it's in English. Although when you run the software for the first time, it will ask you what language you want to choose from the ones that are available to it at that time. Now, if I want to change the language after I've initially selected it, you can do that in the settings dialog. So I'm going to click here and choose settings. This language option right here, this drop down, is where you change the language. So by default, we have English, Spanish, French, Italian, and Portuguese. So if I want to change to Spanish, just select Spanish and click OK. And now my interface is in Spanish. And if I want to change it back to a different one, say French, I can choose French, and now it's in French. And in addition to the this interface being in the selected language, the settings dialog also changes to whatever language you chose to have the interface in. So if you want it in French, the settings is in French, or in Spanish or English, or whatever the option that you chose for the dashboard. So we're going to go back to English because that's the one that I understand the best. So using the selected language, it makes it easier for the dashboard to work with whatever you feel most comfortable. Because obviously not everyone is a native English speaker, and having the dashboard display in the language you are comfortable with is the best option and makes it more accessible to you when you're using the software. So here we are in the Z1 analyzer, and we're going to show how you can change the language in this application as well. So in the Z1 analyzer, what gets changed is the menu options. So right now we are in English, and we're going to go to the settings dialog, and right here this language option allows us to choose the desired language, and we can choose by default between English, Spanish, French, and Italian. So let's choose French and click OK. And then you'll notice now these menus are now in French. And if we go back to the settings dialog, we can change this to say Spanish. And now the menus are in Spanish. So one thing to note in the analyzer is that the settings dialog does not get translated at this time. In the future it will, but right now it's just the menu options. So I'm going to go back to English, click OK, and now I have English menu options up here to work with. So another great thing about the Z1 software is that you can create your own language packs to use in the Z1 analyzer and the Z1 dashboard. So while we supply certain default ones, if the language that you want to use is not there, you can create your own and use that in the analyzer. So right now I am looking at this folder, which is in my documents, Z1 analyzer, and then the languages folder within that. There are 4 files by default in here, and we are going to look at some of these to show you how you create your own language pack for the Z1 analyzer. So as an example, we'll look at the French one. So I'm going to open this. I'm going to open it with Notepad. So this is what the French language pack looks like. We have the default menu option here, a file, and then the translation here into French. And the same thing with OpenLap and the translation over here. And then import external data and the translation here. And this is the same all the way down through all the various menu options. You can just follow it all the way down and see how everything is translated. And we're looking at this one now because it gives an example of a finished file that is used within the analyzer. So I'm going to close this. So if you were to create your own, you want to start with this template right here. So you would just make a copy of it, just paste it, and you would name it after whatever the language is. So if you were going to do it in, say, German, I'm going to call this German. And now I'm going to open it again in Notepad. So the template has all the menu options, but with no translation after it. So the first thing to do is here in language name is give it a name. So this would be German. And since I'm not a native German speaker, I'm not exactly sure the how you would say German in German, but you would write this in however you want it to appear in the drop-down. And now for every single menu option you want to translate, you would just put the translation in here in the display area. If you leave out one of the options, then that menu just appears in default, which is English. So after you type in everything you want for all your various translations all the way down, all you have to do is then save the file. I'm actually not going to save it, but so any file with the .zol ending in this folder will be picked up by the analyzer, and you will be able to select that option within the analyzer and choose the translation that you just created for the menus of the Z1 analyzer. So now let's look at creating a language pack for the Z1 dashboard. It's basically very similar to creating one for the Z1 analyzer. So in this case, we're in our Documents, Z1 Dashboard, and Languages folder, and we have our various language files here. So in the same way, there's a template one, and we're going to open that. I'm sorry, we're going to copy that, so we'll make a copy, and then we'll just paste that. And we would name this after whatever your language is. So in this case, we'll go with our German example again. And now I'm going to open my newly created file in Notepad. So there's a lot more in this file than there is in the analyzer file, because we translate pretty much everything in the dashboard at this point. The introduction dialog, which you see here, various instructions, and then various menu items. That's in the drop down when you click on the three bars right here. And then it's split up into various sections. So general things, options for when the demo runs out, or OK, about, cancel, things like that. And then various windows within the dashboard. So these tell you what you're looking at. This is statistics, this is lap times, standings, and so on the way down. So this is similar in that you have a phrase here, which is name, and you would translate it into whatever you want it to say here. And the same thing with this phrase of time, whatever you want it to say, it's right here. And you do this for everything you want to translate all the way down to the end of the file. And it's quite a big file, but like I said, there's a lot to translate. And if you don't want to translate all of it, that's fine, it's up to you. But you can translate whatever you want to. And in the same way as the analyzer file, you want to give your language a name. So we'll call this German. And in the dashboard, we also include the locale. So if you happen to know what that is, you can put that in here. If you don't, it doesn't really matter, but it does sometimes help with certain accents and spacing and things like that. So you can look up most language locales on the internet. Just type in locale for whatever the language is, and it's usually something along these lines: 2 letters dash another 2 letters. And you can put that in there. Once you've made all your changes, just save your file, and then any .zol file, which is in the languages folder on the dashboard, will be picked up by the Z1 dashboard, and you'll be able to choose that as an option from the settings dialog, as we discussed earlier. So this was a fairly quick video on how multi-language support works in the Z1 dashboard and the Z1 analyzer. and how you can use it to get the display in the language that you want, and how you can create your own language pack if the language that you want to see the software in is not supplied by default with the installation when you first put it on your machine. So I hope this has been a useful video. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and check out the Z1 software if you haven't already. We'll have more videos soon coming up on various features in the Z1 Analyzer, probably how to do some importing, and also on how to use the Z1 Designer to create your own custom dashboards for the Z1 dashboard.